Good morning. Back out in the hill today. It's actually just 6 days after the last trip up Benaglow, so it's unusual to be out so close to each other. It's been a while since I've done two different trips within 6 days, but making most of the current good weather. Ideally would have waited till Saturday to do this, but the weather's set to change tonight, so I've taken a day off work and there's three of us planning to go up the traverse of Creag Meagaidh. So it's a long time since it's been up here. I think back in 1996 was the last time we visited these hills. There's 3 Munros. It's looking like a really good day. Unusually warm. It's about 16 degrees at the car park at 9:30 in the morning, which for early September is very unusual. There's very little wind and the visibility looks good. So we're just working our way up at the moment through the forest. It's a really good track, and then heading up to the first summit, which is, I think, Creag Meagaidh. Funnily enough, that's the same name as the first peak at Benaglow, which we were on last Saturday. So that's one of these coincidences. You can definitely see the colours starting to change as we head into autumn. Even if today it feels more like summer, with the temperature, the colours are definitely showing seasons are changing. So we're making our way up the slope. We were looking out for a cairn with a path that branches off to the right, but we haven't seen a cairn, but we have seen a staircase which looks quite new, so we're thinking this is where we go up. So we'll head up and see if this is the right path, fingers crossed. If it's not, I'll update you. So this path seems really well made. Also looks like it's just gone in, I would say, within the last year, maybe even this year, I'm not sure, but certainly makes for nice and easy progress. Well constructed, and we're going up, so I think it's the right route. But it's definitely something to watch out for if you're relying on a guidebook which doesn't actually mention that there's been a change at that junction off the main path into Creag Meagaidh. So we're making our way up the slope. Definitely is the right path. It is very warm, as you can probably see from the state of me. If you look over here, you will see in the distance the notch on the horizon just here, and that is the window where we will pass on our way up to Creag Meagaidh later on in the day. But if that window's closed at the moment, it'd be good if somebody could open it and get some air in, because it's absolutely roasting. So that's us up around 600 metres. There is hardly a breath of wind, but it's worth it when we're seeing views like this. Really nice looking up into the quarry and seeing the window. So later in the day, once we have climbed up here and got onto Creag Meagaidh, we'll work along the ridge which you can't see, then picking up the ridge there in the background and go along over the second Munro, and then up down to the window, and then continue up and over to Creag Meagaidh, and then return to the window and back out in the valley, and we'll hopefully pick up some water next to the river there too. So we're now just above Loch Laggan at 665 metres. It's been a sweaty ascent so far, but we're getting there. Another 400 metres or so until we get to the first Munro. You've got a really nice view down to Loch Laggan. So we are looking out to the east, down towards the Galcharn group, more of Loch Laggan, and down to Ben the Lap there in the centre, which is next to Loch Laggan, and coming back round to the quarry and the window. and that's the slope we're about to head up. So summit's up here somewhere, out of sight. So onwards and upwards. So looking right into Creag Meagaidh with the loch, and again over to the window, and then continuing round on the ridge that we'll be on later. Time we were here, as I say, it was back in 1996, so 27 and a bit years ago. That day it was the May bank holiday weekend. Very heavy hail showers, windy, quite different to today's sweltering conditions. It was a big weekend. I did that on the Saturday after driving up from home. Then I stayed the night at Loch Laggan Youth Hostel. Then it was out west on the Sunday to do 2 Munros down, I think it was down Loch Laggan way, Spiddy and Nan something, I can't remember the name. And then on the Monday, just to finish things off, we did Carnmore, Creag and Ben Nevis. So when we went back to work on the Tuesday, we were certainly refreshed after a busy weekend. Amazing things you could do 27 years ago. Can't see me doing that now. Not all in 3 days anyway. So as us approaching the summit now, get a drink and a rest here. So it's just about 2 hours and 20 minutes, including stop to get up. So, and after this, just a straightforward heading west along the ridge to get the other 2 Munros. Back to first Munro, and coming round towards number 2. So thankfully a wee breeze has got up now, so it's not just as warm as it had been earlier. So we're just about 930 metres, dropping down here to a low point on the ridge, and then begin the ascent again, heading towards Munro number 2. There we are, looking back towards the first Munro summit, so you can see the ridge that we've come along, and this is just going back up onto the next part of the approach to number 2. So we're up now at 1,000 metres, and I don't think it's too far to get to the Munro number 2. So thankfully there's a breeze again. It's really warm still for this height, but the breeze makes it a wee bit easier. We're never happy, are we? That's us just arriving at the second Munro. This one, back in 1996, was my 100th Munro, and it took me another 9 years to complete them when I finished off in Larvin in June 2005. You can actually look back at a video from 2 years ago when we summit camped in Larvin, and I'll put a link into the description for that video. So we're going to get a drink up here, some bite to eat, and then it'll be on to Creag Meagaidh and the final Munro of the day. Looking there over to the second Munro, just in the centre, and then away over in the distance is Munro number 1, and then coming round past the quarry, and this is where we're headed, over to point here. Oops, no, here. This is the summit of Creag Meagaidh, so that's the next one. So the wind's dropped again a little bit. It's not just as cool as it had been, but there's not much more ascent to do, and we've got enough water to get us up to the summit, I think, for the three of us, and we can top up once we get down to the loch. But oh, what a day. Beautiful and very, very hot. So I think that's called Mad Meg's Cairn, and then beyond it is the summit, so it's not far now. Nice view looking up to the northwest. And then when you look back to where we've come from, it's a long way to number 1. No wonder we're feeling it. So that's the summit of Creag Meagaidh up there, not far to go now. I reckon another 10 minutes maximum and we'll be up the top. Despite the fact it's got a bit hazy, you can still see all the mountains, so we're going to get a really nice view from up here. It's the highest mountain in the area. And I'll certainly be getting a drink up here, something to eat, and then it's just a case of start descending back to the car, where luckily we've got quite a lot of drinks waiting there. So here we are, arriving at the third Munro of the day, Creag Meagaidh. It's the highest of the day as well. I will put the height on the screen, but here we go. But certainly you're seeing everything out to the west, down to the south. It's a bit hazy going east, but oh well, it's great, very good. And it's still very warm. So it's good to be back up 27 years later. Here's the next 27. View north from the edge of the plateau just next to the summit of Creag Meagaidh. Very impressive, rugged scene. And again, just looking back up to the cairn. So we're now back at the window, so we'll just follow the path through here and down to the Loch Laggan. So we are just walking through the window, hopefully it's open. So we've now come through the window and just a case of descending now to the loch, and then we follow the path out back to the car. Fine view. So just looking back to the window, we've filled up at this stream here too, getting some much needed water. So that was good. So it was starting to feel a bit fresher. We've run out of water, so that's good to have some. So just following the route down here, down to the loch and then out back to the car. I'll do a bit of film at the loch and then I think that'll be everything I'll be filming today. What a view. Absolutely stunning, looking up to the cliffs. And round to, you can see where we've come down from, the window in the centre, and then continuing round, this is below number 2, and then looking back out down the glen. Really, really nice. Outstanding. So this seems like a good point to sign off from today's adventure. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been really, really good revisiting these 3 peaks after such a long time, and whilst it's been warm, we've had clear tops and good visibility. So I'm just going to sign off here. I hope you've enjoyed it, as I say. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Also, you can follow Scottish Climber on Instagram and also on Twitter, and I will put the links on the screen. I post regularly on both of these channels. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.